Hi friends! So today is going to be my last video for the 60-day systems reset. And it might feel a little long to you because it's a little bit before our Thanksgiving here in the States. So it's like the second week of November, and I might not get this posted until the end of November, but I am going to bring back for the final time that original flowchart of what I was. She's pretty comfy. What I was aiming for with the systems revamp. And I also know that it looks like I'm probably about to do one of my book reviews. I'm not. I felt comfy. I felt like the goal of more of this hygge lifestyle lended to just getting into the comfy bed. It's getting a little bit cooler here in the evening. We still haven't had our first frost, which is sort of crazy to me at this point. We had like a freak close hard frost in, I think, late August, and then nothing since. Nothing that's been close. It's been like lower 40s. But yeah, so let's just sort of do a review and just a highlight reel of what I was aiming for. And I may look down, I'm looking at my chart because there's been a lot of growth that's happened in the last 2 months with this venture to focus on creating new habits and creating a system that allows itself to lend to a freer lifestyle reset at the end of it rather than trying to check off accomplishments. And I know that my end credits tend to look like these are specific goals, and I just want to remind everyone that these are what I identified as like the hurdles in what I have to address in my system. So it does look like a laundry list of to-do things, but it's more what obstacles are sort of in the way to this day-to-day lighter, more mindful aspect to looking at how you navigate life, or how I'm navigating life. And so I know that when I looked at this in the beginning, I was looking at certain drivers on what is currently driving me and what drivers I know will work through the process of resetting a system. And I did identify certain pillars that I was going to lean into to see for some growth: my economic self, spiritual self, romantic self. I was looking at things that made me wonder what makes me feel good, what is driving me, and then more hurdles. A lot of my hurdles that I identified for a better self-outcome, more engagement and availability to my loved one, is Caleb, who's also a driver in my system, and a better lifestyle, more like hygge-based aspects of being able to truly unplug, just get comfy and not feel like there's this mountain of stress surrounded by disorganization. And I also identified allowing myself to refine and stop and refine the process. Now, I will say that I think I filmed myself in the 60 days 3, possibly 4 times where I stopped and I had to refine it. And I think early on, one of those big things for me was getting centralized with the tools that I was accessing for the hurdles I was addressing. And what that looked like was centralizing and locating like all of my tools and my gardening supplies, and taking inventory of what was in the shed and cleaning out the porch, which has turned into my office space. And so that was one of them. I know I took a mental health day, and then of course there was that one where I think I just spent the day getting lost in the jalapeno popper recipe, where I was experimenting with different things, and I just showed you a pretty baseline one in that video where I was essentially distracting myself as I was trying to refocus on what I needed, and I was allowing myself this like mental health day of clarity and just engaging in something I find creative and beneficial. So I still essentially felt like I was doing something, even if it wasn't necessarily the like systems aspect of what my aspiration was. It's not even so much a like systems thing, because obviously you're being mindful of, I need to take just a little bit of a break so I know that I'm successfully embedding this new structure. So I did 3 of those. I did share a lot of my productivity. I did check in on how things are going to look different for different people. That was in one where I was just sort of yammering on for 10 minutes about how everything's sort of unique to yourself and how that's important. And then how to continuously allow yourself the freedom to rest. I've actually gotten a lot of inspiration through some connections on Instagram. Actually, there's somebody who's a big advocate for allowing yourself the time and the permission to rest, and I admire her ability to just embrace this. I think it's her process of creating new habits and her own system of trying to get comfortable with the discomfort of thinking you can't rest and you can't take time for yourself to actually recover. And so and she's making it look like it's effortless, and it's very inspirational to me. And I will say, as somebody who is a little type A and is somebody who's very socially engaged, when I am out in a social capacity, there's like a lot of energy that goes into that, where you're constantly feeling like you need to be engaging, that you need to be doing something to show productivity, that that something physical or visual with your eyes to justify the energy that went into it. Where I think that I've also come to learn through this system restructuring that if you actually take the time to rest, that is in itself a type of work that is reaping its own rewards and benefits. And that's probably a much bigger conversation for another time. But that's something I picked up from this process that I didn't expect going in, that I think is one of those building blocks to the ideal state I was going for, of, this feeling less chaos, or feeling less stress and anxiety and pressure to perform at like 100% all the time, because it just leads to fatigue and breakdown. And we have a gopher problem. But so I think I was surprised to learn about that in this process. I think a couple of videos ago, I've also identified on my mental health day that I hate dragging the camera around and filming what I'm doing, because I'm a lot of times behind the learning curve with home improvement stuff. So there's already this hesitation of, am I doing this right? And I'm sort of capturing it and putting it out into the world. And for whatever reason, I want to talk about, and I want to not worry about this feeling like something's capturing something that I might not be doing right the first time. And plus, there's obviously, it creates more work. There's more raw footage to go through to find like the constructive highlights through those missed things. So I will say that by filming the 60-day process, I've also come to learn that I have learned a better lesson in the aspect of storytelling. And I was doing a deeper dive in some of my older videos, and I realized that I was talking about going into a better structure of vlogging, and I used to do a whole bunch of B-roll footage and actually having like a story, like a specific mapped out story. And I never used to script anything per se, but I think that I've come to learn that when I'm more prepared to sit down and talk about something, if I at least have some sort of format or structure behind what I'm talking about, I feel like the story flow is a little bit more coherent. And I also think that it makes it more fun to theoretically put together. And I've come to learn about myself in the last couple of months actually, that even through music and art and writing stuff down, I like to tell a story, right? So I draw pictures. I like the evolution of characters. I like the evolution of words in a written body. And I am in myself a character going through personal development on film, which is something that can be done in a story structure. And so I think one of the takeaways that I will be able to have the ability to engage in with more time, for one of my goals in this ideal state was to feel like I can explore and bloom the creative wheelhouse that re-energizes how I am more functional. What inspires me, what can pull me out of mental health funks is my creativity. And it's something that I shy away from, and I don't think I can give myself permission to, much like rest. And a lot of that creativity goes on hold, and it becomes like this backlog of stuff. And then that in itself becomes stress because there's no outlet for it. And that's a long way around saying that now that I've taken a lot of these burdens off my plate around the house, and there are still some things to do, but I know how to prioritize and put things in sort of like this systematic structure of separation, I think I'm going to actually start looking into, I think, Skillshare. I see it everywhere now. And now that I've said it out loud, I'll probably start to see ads for it. But I'm going to dive into Skillshare, and I'm going to learn and go back to my old videos that used to look much different than the ones in the last couple of months. And I'm gonna see, I wanna go back to that way of filming and video storytelling. And I am going to pick up some new techniques, and I'm going to start doing a lot more things that way. And yeah, so I will say, I do wanna wrap this up, but I will say that I was unsure of 100% on how I was gonna get there, but like I put in my buffers on stopping and revisiting and refining when needed, taking breaks when needed, and I came out sort of on the other end of the 60 days with these B-plot or byproduct things, and they are all beneficial, and they're adding to this hygge-based, comfier, freer, more mindful lifestyle that is less stressful, less anxiety provoking. And am I 100% at like necessarily where I want to be? No, but this was a great exercise, and this is what my takeaways were. This is what I've also discovered in the process. And with that being said, I wonder how long that's been on me. But with that being said, I'm wondering, what have you guys noticed? What were the little things in your process that have come up in your new system, your new habits that you have been embedded? Are you going to add on the 30 days towards the 90 days, like setting new habits theory of, it's 90 days to permanently create a new habit? And, obviously we just did 60, but what did you learn? What did you get that you weren't expecting to get? Was it beneficial? Was it not beneficial? Let me know. I have loved seeing your comments along the way about what you guys have been discovering for yourself or what you've been reminded of. And I have been learning from you guys, and that has been, I will say, it's been like, especially on the days where I've taken breaks and I've gone back and I've looked at what is and is not something that resonates with people. And, I think that it's just been sort of rather nice to see that we're all different, we're all unique, and we all navigate the world in our own special ways, but we're also very similar. And I will say that some of your comments have sort of inspired me, to allowed me to reframe. And yeah, I thank you all for those who did the 60 days with me. And I know that some of you started this a couple weeks after, but maybe by the time that this posts at the end of November, we'll all have arrived to day 60. And yeah, so chat with me in the comments and I will reply to everyone. And remember to grow from where you are, and I will share more with you soon. Tschüss.